Welcome back to the class. So in a few previous classes we have already explained the sleep-wake cycle, also explained the different nuclei of hypothalamus. In the endocrine system we'll discuss about the feedback mechanism. So like many hormonal regulatory systems are arranged in cascade like chains where the hormone of the one organ regulates the next organ at lower level of the system and finally keep it the balance through the feedback mechanism. So in that mechanism one organ can control the others. It might be in two way. One will be the negative feedback mechanism, one other will be the positive feedback mechanism. So you can see the two loops are shown on that diagram. One is the simple feedback loop and another is the hierarchical control. So in simple feedback loop there is some sensor and some hormones and target. You can say some receptor is there in the cell, so that can bind with that specific hormone. So and then their hormone or metabolites, then they are like these are activated and then they release something that activate the second organ. That is called the simple feedback loop, like control over another organ. Now you can see in hierarchical control their cerebral cortex to the hypothalamus that releasing some of the CRH. You can say the corticotropic releasing hormone. So you can say it's a molecule of component A and that stimulate the anterior pituitary. So corticotropic releasing hormone, you can say the component A is activated to the organ anterior pituitary, and then the activated anterior pituitary that release the ACTH. You can say that's a component B, and this component B also stimulate the adrenal cortex, upper side of the kidney. The adrenal cortex, they are coming throughout the blood, and adrenal cortex is stimulated by ACTH hormone. And then the adrenal cortex releasing to the cortisol hormone that can stimulate the target tissue. That means this is a multi-steps like hierarchical. They are central part of the cerebral cortex and then hypothalamus to the anterior pituitary to the adrenal cortex and adrenal cortex to the target tissue. Whether they are all the type of stimulatory molecule like CRH or ACTH that can stimulate. That's kind of the positive feedback. They give the positive stimulus, but when the cortisol is released in too much, and that time cortisol can act as a inhibitory side to that anterior pituitary, or that can inhibit the ACTH production along with the CRH production, and this mechanism is called the negative feedback mechanism. In first section we already discussed the positive feedback system, and in second system it is a positive feedback system. In red line it is in the negative feedback system. So hope that you can understand the basic feedback mechanism. Whether I give the example of the cerebral cortex to the cortisol secretion and cortisol that can give the negative or inhibitory signal to the anterior pituitary and along with the hypothalamus. So this system is kind of response driven feedback. So you can just remind that term response. So that is a response driven feedback. So they are physiological response driven and endocrine axis driven negative feedback. So that is the kind endocrine axis, kind of like hypothalamus to the anterior pituitary. In that system it's kind of the like endocrine axis driven. So much of the endocrine system is organized in a endocrine axis. This consists of the hypothalamus, pituitary and along with the peripheral endocrine glands. These are kind of peripheral endocrine glands. The endocrine axis driven feedback loop is involves their three-tier configuration. Their first tier responsible for the hypothalamus and the pituitary and the neuroendocrine system releasing hormone. Hope you can understand this concept very easily, and this is a very small video and I'm just making to build up your small concept on the endocrine system, and then we go for the signaling part, and then hope you can understand very easily. Thank you.